Hey YouTube, Kevin here. I got a request for a fork seals. This is another aspect we're going to touch on the KE100s, and this is going to do basically all the smaller Kawasaki KE100s, the KD80s, the KM100s, the KC100s, the KH100s, the MX Yamahas. You know, anything under 100 cc's basically is what I'm after. I'm after showing you guys tips and tricks and videos on the smaller stuff. I will be doing some bigger stuff, but right now I'm focusing on the little bike because it doesn't get no attention. So without further ado, I'm going to show you how to pull the front forks off, and I'm actually not going to do it. I'm going to explain it to you, and the reason for this is I have a set of forks already off that I have to do the seals, and I'm going to show you why they fail. Okay, so anyway, basically looking at the front of the bike, you're going to have to remove your front wheel, which is basically simple. You're going to pull off the front axle nut right here, slide the wheel out, and take the brakes off the other side after you support the bike. Okay, then you're going to move up your tree. You got a bolt here and a bolt there, and guess what? The fork just slides out. That's all there is to it. These two bolts right here, and then the fork just slides right out once the wheel is off. Okay, so that's basically it for that. And what do you call it there? And then I'm going to show you something else. I'm going to show you why your seals fail, and I'm going to show you how to do a seal replacement. Okay, so right here I got a set of legs, fork tube legs, and you see I got a bucket of water and a couple of scouring pads in there. These pads are the blue pads that you find at Market Basket or any of your grocery stores. These are designed to clean rough stuff without scratching. These are what you're going to want to use. You do not want to use the green ones. The green ones will scour it. Okay, like scratches and everything else. These right here, this is gentle, but it cleans. Okay, and you want to basically clean your entire tube and make sure it is 100% absolutely flawlessly clean. And I removed the dust seal on this one already. Okay, there's some poison ivy down there, and you can see some of the crap in there, but guess what? I cleaned a lot of that out. So I'm going to show you on that fork leg, because I have not cleaned this one. Grab that over here. Oh, and the fork seal is leaking on both of these legs. So I'm going to pop, using a flathead screwdriver, under the dust cap seal. Okay, just be careful you don't ruin the leg. It'll pop up, you just go all the way around it, and it releases it. There's a groove that it fits into. It's very important that you have these on there. Okay, here we go. Dust seal is coming off the top. Just drop you. Sorry about that. Okay. Now you can see all the crap that's inside there that built up over time. All the water that's got past that seal, all the rust. Look at this. This is why the seal fails. Because it got all this debris, or if you're politically correct, debris. Got all this debris in there, and basically made this seal unable to do its job. Look at that, I'm cleaning it out right now. Just, I don't think you can see it all too well. Well, it's very sunny out here right now. Look at that. That is pitiful. Okay, and there's a clip in here that you're going to take out. But right now, we're going to go work on the other one. I already got that one somewhat cleaned up. This one has to be cleaned up. So I keep, I'm holding this with one hand. Oh yeah, this thing is really in there. So you have to clean it, do some cleaning up in there to get that out. It's very common if that's what happens, and that's why your seal fails. Not because the bike is junk, because it's a light duty bike. It's because Mother Nature has other plans for it. Okay, so let's go back on that one that I already somewhat cleaned up. I didn't clean it up 100%, but I got it out right here. Okay, you can see the clip. New clips are available. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to take a second from doing that, and I'm going to show you how to remove your top cap. And that's simple. You're going to use a 1/2 inch drive ratchet. So let me get a ratchet. Okay, stick your ratchet in the top part there, and then you're going to hold it with one hand like this and loosen it up with your other hand. Okay, so once you get it loose, you can pull that right out, just like that. There's a seal in there that's going to need to be lubricated. And what I try to do is pull the spring out. Big long spring in here. Sometimes it comes out, sometimes it don't. Yep, just leave it in there for now. And dump it out into the bucket that we have right here. See if there's anything coming out of it. There we go. Look at all that crap. Look at that. That's water. That is water. That's not oil. That's water coming out of that thing. You can tell from the seal. That's why this shock is gone. Woo! Look at that water. Is that crazy? Black water. Look at that. Absolutely nuts. Okay, so now we get that part out. Typically, at the bottom of the shock, you would have a screw. This one does not have that, and there is no screw in there for the oil. Okay, so you're gonna note that too. But I'm gonna show you something, because on the KM100s and the KD80s and some of those forks, they do. And in order to take that tube off, you have to remove that screw. So I grabbed a junk front end I have right here that came off of a KD80, which is the same as the KM100. And you will note that there is a fork oil screw on the side here, and at the bottom, and inside one of these holes, here we go, in the hole, there is a screw in there that you have to remove to release the what do you call it there, the shock tube. You cannot do that otherwise. So these ones right here are just held in with that clip. So this is a real basic system to do your shock. So I'm gonna mess with that clip and see if I can get that out. I need both hands for that. So I'm removing the clip that's inside here. That's the clip that I'm removing right now. So I'll be right back. Okay, got the clip out, and just by moving it down, you can see all the debris on the shaft there. Now, if you want the spring out, all you gotta do is push down on the tube, and the spring is exposed right there, which then you can pull out. Which you should pull out and clean. Okay, and check it for wear and make sure it is still a good spring. Put that down there. I'm gonna try draining it one more time. See what else I get out. I got some more water out of there. And then you're gonna grab the tube with one hand here. I'm gonna try doing it. I'm gonna try holding it like this off the camera. And you're gonna pull the tube out after you remove the clip. I'm getting parts and pieces of this thing out. Okay, so everything goes over the top. Whew. Here comes the seal. Okay, seal is out. I repeat, the seal is out. And then, I don't know if you can see this or not. This is awful. And the seal is right there on the tip. Right there on the tip. Boom. I'm gonna pop that seal off, and we're gonna clean up this whole entire thing. This thing looks awful, pitiful, disgusting, pathetic. Ugh. Anyway, so that's that for that. Okay, we got the spring out. Spring needs to be cleaned, inspected, and the fork tube. There's like a big long bolt thing inside there. You can take that out if you want. Clean out that tube. I'm going to flush this tube out. This tube is absolutely horrendous looking. All kinds of crap coming out of it, and it ain't oil. It smells burnt. It looks disgusting, and it definitely needs to be worked on. So I'm going to clean up these tubes, I'm going to clean up these parts and pieces, and then I will be back to show you how to install the tube and the seal. Okay, I'm back with the forks. I didn't get the whole thing cleaned up, but I wanted to show you something that's very important when you're pulling this thing apart. Okay, I don't know if you can see it or not, but in here you're going to want to take a pick. I'm going to flip you back over, I got you upside down, sorry about that. Okay, you're going to want to take a pick, just a regular pick, and there's a groove right here that ring, that snap ring goes into. You're going to want to clean up that really good all the way around, and you're going to want to flush your tube out. Now there's a couple of things I want you to look for when you're taking these tubes apart, and I have one that's bad. I actually ended up grabbing another one off of another set because my fork was so badly damaged. So I'm going to show you a couple things to look for. Okay, one, this limiter right here that's in the middle here, I don't know if you can see that or not, it's kind of hard to see. It looks like a big giant Phillips screwdriver, Phillips screw. I don't know if you can, here we go, you can vaguely see it. Anyway, it's right in the center of the right in the center of it. There we go. It's actually a pretty good picture of it. Okay, anyway, that right there is your limiter. And oh, maybe I do have you upside down. Yeah, I do have you. Hold on, I'm gonna flip you around one more time. Sorry about that. Okay, here we go. Where are you? Put you back down. Here we go. Okay, sorry about that. Just some camera malfunction here, or operator error. The ones I have were bent. That one that came out off that first tube that I pulled the spring out was bent. So you're going to want to make sure that's fairly straight in there, because that's your limiter. That basically means that someone did a jump with this thing really hard, came down hard on the forks, or rode the hell out of it so hard that it bent it. It actually bent on the inside. This one's nice and straight. I cleaned up the tube, I flushed it out, and it's nice and clean. Okay, so we got that part. Couple of things I want to go over with you is your clips. Okay, when you're pulling out the clips, you got to be careful for them, but you might see some of them that have a flat spot. This right here, this has been off before and is bent to hell. I mean, if they're bent like that, don't try to straighten them, buy a new one. This is a good one right here. This is the one that came out of it, out of the new one there. It's in good shape, so I'm going to reuse that one. This is the ring. I'm going to clean up this ring. This goes under the clip. The clip sits on top of that like that. Okay, so now we're going to get to the point where we're going to remove the seal off the tube. We're going to do it off the one I'm going to use. I got two of them here, but I'm using the parts from each one because I got pitting on this one. It's really, really bad, and the pitting will chew up a seal. The one I have that I started taking off at the first one, we're going to use that tube because that tube is clean, but you can see how dirty it is down the end. So we're going to go ahead and take the stuff off, but I'm going to show you how it comes off. Okay, your seal is in, let me show you. There's a spring on the back side. Okay, hold on. Okay, this is the seal right here. And on the back side, you got your lip with your spring on the back of it. That goes down. That's how that goes. It goes down. Okay. Underneath your seal, you have a slide. Okay. So the hat, as I call it, that's what it looks like. Picture a hat, which would look like this. It's an upside down top hat. That's how I remember. Upside down top hat. This way it looks like a top hat. Upside down top hat. What I do is I put the stuff on it the way it comes off. That way I don't lose my train of thought of how it goes together. Goes like that. Then you got your little ring. Goes on top of your seal. And then of course your retainer clip. That's how that goes. Underneath that hat is another O-ring. Okay, I don't know if you can see the O-ring. As long as it's not broken, Well, it's not an O-ring. It's a metal ring, like a clip, like a piston ring almost. As long as it ain't broken, I leave it alone. There's your tube, and then here's the base right down here. So I'm going to go ahead and clean up all that. I'm not going to remove that clip. I don't need to. I'm going to clean up inside that tube. It's all nice and crusty in there, and shouldn't be. So we're going to clean up inside the tube. We're going to clean up the entire tube and get this thing all cleaned up and ready for reassembly. Okay, I'm back. Alright, so I got my tube all cleaned up. I have my insert, my what do you call it there, sleeve all cleaned up. And I want to show you what I have found when you do these jumps with these things. You want to make sure this tube is also not bent. You got to keep in mind that this is a little bike. It's not a big bike. And a lot of people like to try to do jumps with these things and show off, and they're not designed for that. So anyway, this is the tube right here, the spring I'm going to use inside the tube. And you notice the front and the bottom are straight. The one that came out of the original one is bent at the bottom. See where it's bent? At the bottom. It's not sitting flat if you're looking at it. It's kind of bunched up at the bottom. And top is fine. Right there's actually a good view. Right there you can see that bottom one. Third from the bottom. You can see how it's bent out. That's because they were really abusive with this bike. That's abuse. Lack of maintenance and abuse. This bike is not designed for that type of hammering on, and so you gotta keep that in mind. And if you compare the spring length, this is actually shorter because of what they did. It's going to give you a hell of a ride. It's not going to be a good ride, and it drops down the height of the bike. So keep that in mind when you have that. Alright, so without further ado, let's get the shock put back together here. The best we can, because I got to clean up this spring, and then I'll come back to that one. Okay, so you got your sleeve right here. I mean your piston, basically. And I got this thing all cleaned up. There is no pits. That's an oil hole, and then that ring right there at the bottom is in excellent condition. I am using the blue scouring pad to clean it up. And we're basically going to put it back together the same way we took it off. See that steel ring at the bottom? Like right in the middle there, right directly in your screen? Yep. That has a place. Remember that upside down hat I told you about? Top hat? I'll take it off like this. There is a ring for that, a spacer, a guide for that. That stops this from going. So we're going to drop this right on there. It's going to slide down all the way onto its own. Boom. That's where it goes. Right at the bottom, just like that. Then we're going to install the new seal. Real simple to do, and I'll show you how I do it. Okay, so now we got everything on there. We got to put the seal on, and the seal is actually going to go on. See the groove at the bottom? That faces down. That's where the spring is, the seal. It's going to fit this way going up. So we're going to grease the inside of the seal, if you can see it or not. I got grease on the inside of the seal. And then I'm going to take a layer of grease and go right around the top. Okay, just make sure, grease the top, the tip, so it has a place to, some lubrication to slide. Make sure it's nice and clean. Only crap on that. Make sure it's just a thin layer of grease. Don't have to go whole hog. Make sure it's nice and clean and greased. Then you take your seal and you work it on it, which I can't do with the phone in my hand, so I'm gonna put you down for a second. Okay, so I use my finger on the inside of the seal, working it around until it's on there, and then I'm just gonna slide it right straight down the shaft. It's got grease in between the seal and the shaft until it sits right on top of the top hat, just like that. Boom. Next step, so right now we have the metal ring around the shaft, we have the top hat upside down, and we have the seal put on, and we're going to slide these into the shaft. 1 second. Okay, so you got the shaft as cleaned up as I possibly can. I verified that the stopper in the middle is straight, not bent. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a layer of grease and I'm going to put it around the perimeter. So that right there is going to prevent the seal from chewing up when I'm putting it in, if there's any burrs that I missed. Okay, so I drop the shaft in and I put that on there, and then what I do is I use a rubber mallet or just a mallet, and I lightly tap all the way around it so I get it seated to where I need it. You're not going to be able to get the hammer obviously in the groove, but make sure you wipe your hammer out before you use it, and then tap it in as best as you can. I got grease on everything, so this thing is nice and lubricated, and you want to make sure your seal is going in nice and straight and cockeyed. Okay, now for my trick. You're probably asking yourself, well, I used to put seals in using sockets. I can't do that in this case because of the shaft. Okay, how am I going to drive that seal to seat? So I'm going to show you how to do that. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Alright, so we got this in as far as we can get it with the rubber mallet without killing the seal. So now we have to drive it down to its seats. But we have nothing that we can do. We can't use a screwdriver because we'll pierce it. And we can't use a socket because the shaft is too big. So what do you use? Good question. Well, here's the trick of the day. Remember the old seal you took out? Yep, your bucket of water. Clean that seal up. Slide it over the shaft. And now you just doubled your height length. And then you should be able to tap that seal in with no problem. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to put you down and I'll be right back. And voila. Okay, so I drove the seal in using the other seal, and I was able to just boop right out. It almost looks like it's going to go in, but it doesn't. So you're in far enough with the seal, driving on the seal. Keep your shaft clean, make sure it's nice and clean, and then you're going to slide that ring over the top. See if I can do it with you guys on the line here. Boom, boom, rings on, and then install the clip, which I'm going to go do right now. Okay, I don't know if you can see it or not, that's kind of blurry, but I got the clip in. Clip is all installed, and so I got the seal, that ring, and the clip all installed right there. And I want to give a shout out real quick to the people who make these. These are made by All Balls Bearing, and I'll show you, see if I can get this. Here we go. There's the part number, AB56105, and this kit includes 2 oil seals and 2 dust shields. These are very important. Make sure you get the ones with the dust shields, because you don't want to deal with that old crap, you know what I mean? So, once again, the part number, AB56105, made by All Balls. I've used this company for a long time. It's a big shout out. It's a great product. It supersedes OEM, and I use them. They got wheel bearings. I mean, you name it. I got them on my 4-wheeler, the oil seals, the seal kit, fork seal kits. That's just a great company. And these are very high quality seals, and you'll notice that right when you open up the package. They didn't, what do you call it there? They didn't cut any corners with them, that's for sure. So, big shout out to the people over at All Balls. Great product. Keep up the good work. Alright, so the next step on this right here, on this rebuild, is we're going to put the dust shield in. But what I like to do is I like to take a little bit of grease and just go right around it on the inside here. Just like that. I like grease. Grease is good for the body, and you want to lubricate the inside of your seal. So I'm going to put you down for a second because I need my other hand. Okay, now I got the seal on the shaft. There we go. Going down. Party time. and then just walk it on, make sure it fits all the way around. It'll mushroom out at the bottom. It's very hard to do this one-handed, but I'm gonna give it a shot. Now I need my other hand. Hold on a second. Okay, now for the spring. Now the spring has two ends to it. One end has the spring coil is close together, and the far side it is not. So the tight that's tightly wound goes up, and the side, obviously, what is regular coiled like the rest of the thing all the way up, goes down. So we'll put that in there. Okay, and that is how you rebuild a coil. Now we're going to talk about oil. Book uses, you can use 10W20 or 10W30. I'm going to use 10W30, and because it's readily available, and we're going to measure it out. Let me get the book and find out what we need for CCs. Okay, so it says in the book here that we need for the KE100 182 plus or minus 4 cc's, or 6.41 plus or minus 0.041 imperial fluid ounces, or 615. So I'm gonna go with the 615 on the fluid ounces, and I have a syringe here. This is a one for doing the fork oil. So I got ounces here, and I don't know what the ounce conversion is, unfortunately, but I do know that the 0.41 is roughly 12 what do you call it there, milliliters. So what we're going to do is we're going to go, let's see, 10, right there, 10 milliliters, right? And we want to go to 12, so 12 would be up here someplace. Here we go, 12 would be 2 down, and plus or minus, so I'm going to go with the extra right down to that line. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill this up 2, 4, 6, 3 times, and then up to that line right there on the 4th time, and that right there is going to give me my ounces, fluid ounces, 615. So 6 ounces, this thing's measured in 2 ounces here, so that's 2 ounces there. So 3 plus that, now give me enough to do that fork. I'm gonna go fill this thing up real quick. And this is basically how it works. I'm just sucking it right out of the oil, into this big giant syringe up to the 2 ounce mark, and getting it all adjusted up, and then putting it in the fork up to the 6.15. Okay, so I got the tube filled up with oil to where I need it to be, and your last step is to install the plug on the end. So before you install this, inspect it, make sure you know it's not too bad to reinstall. You might need to get a new seal for that, but this one's in good shape, so I'm going to use it. And I put a layer of grease right around that O-ring on the top there. Okay, and then I put the plug in and tighten it up. And that is basically how you rebuild a shock induced seals. So this thing came out really nice. Well, luckily I had a part to do with the other one, because this one had a bent spring. The clip was bad. It was just this one was actually a nightmare. They're not normally like that. But anyway, this KE100 shock is ready to be installed on the bike with the 2 clamps there, and the axle nut, and then this one's ready to rip and roar and ready to go. And I want to thank everybody for watching, and I hope this helps you. You know, just remember, clean the shit out of it. I mean, literally, clean the shit out of it. Make sure there's nothing in it, because that's what causes it to go. You know, you see these seals right here. These things are really tight on there. I had all I could do to get that on there. You can see how it's bowled out a little bit, but as long as it locks into that little ring, you should be good. And that's what I was talking about. The people over at All Balls really have a good sealing system on these. and the wiper right there, that's the grease right there I put on, and it wiped it. So I know I'm good. And yeah, I mean, if you have oil ripping down your forks, then you need to replace your seals. I mean, you saw this thing had water in it. Ugh. It was, I mean, it's just nasty. It's black water. That's what it comes down to. But this thing right here, this shock is, this shock leg is all, feels really nice too. So that's going to be a good, that's really going to help that bike out. I mean, that's good. That's good. I'm happy with that. Happy the way that came out, and I hope the next one goes just as well, actually a little easier than that one, because that was kind of a nightmare. But anyway, I got a bent spring, I got some parts for scrap, and but at least you guys got the idea of how to do a fork seal. They're not that bad. Really what you need is some patience, some cleaner. Make sure you clean. I'm using the soap I'm using here is this soap with the blue scouring pad, and make sure they're all dry, because water does not like oil and oil does not like water. They're Democrats and Republicans, you know what I mean? I'm just kidding. No, but seriously. So make sure you do that. Make sure you get that cleaned up. And these do not have the plug at the bottom. That's only found on the smaller bikes. And everything is accessed up there. So you want to make sure that clip is good, because these ones are held together with the screw at the bottom. It's actually a very strong idea. These ones only have the clip up top there. So if your clip is fatigued, like the one I pulled off was, don't use it. Get another one. And I hopefully all this information helps you, and I hope that you'll be able to do your forks and what do you call it, to have your bike back up and running. So as always, thank you for watching. Comment if you have any questions. By all means, send them my way. Use my video and revert back to it. I mean, if you have to pause it and go back and forth, I mean, I do that all the time with the books and stuff. So ask the questions. The only stupid question is the one you didn't ask. And as always, please subscribe, and I hope this helps. Thanks. Have a great night.